Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's 8:40 a.m., October 13th. Lots to talk about in terms of Bitcoin, in terms of crypto. So let's get to it, right? We're going to open up with the daily chart on BTC because, as I stated, this blue marker, which is coming back from 11,700 and some change on numerous exchanges, dates back all the way, as you can see, not only to 2019, where it pretty much capped price over here, okay, but it definitely capped price here in 2018, where, as you can see, price held as support, resistance as a deviation right there, resistance, 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 and then we got sold off. So we are pretty much right there near the top of that 11,700 and some change area. Yesterday we hit a high of $11,730 and then resumed to just quickly sell off right away as soon as we tap the area. So again, this kind of further confirms my marker that there are some heavy sellers waiting in this area. And what we do with this area is going to be particularly important of how we move on for the next several weeks ahead. Breaking above this area and holding would probably imply that we're pushing up at least to take out this high, and probably headed, much further up, which would be at least my first target is 13,200 and then right around 14,000. Okay, so again, breaking and holding above this area. All right, this 11.7 marker, and then if we start taking out at least this key high right here, chances are we're probably taking out this high. And if we get past that high, chances are we're probably hitting this marker or possibly this marker. Okay, so keep those in mind. Now, hard to talk about that without talking about potential retracements or downsides, right? So my Advantage members know that I have a short hedge position. And in that short hedge position, the way I'm looking at the market right now is if I'm going to get a pullback and say 11,100, 11,200 holds, and we start doing something like this, starting to push back up again, chances are I probably want to start closing out my short here, because from here, if we do something like this right here, as you can see, well, we might start pushing higher and higher and higher. The other opportunities that are available in terms of shorting the market, which again, at present moment, there's very few opportunities in my opinion, but the other opportunities are kind of like this, right? So we could look at the market in two different ways. First being the last bit of a push that we had, okay? So this area right here. So the low of this before we had that big spike up, that is a key marker that the bulls are probably gonna try to defend. And that's right around $11,190. How we come back to that area from here, if we do, right? And if we start breaking below that area and we do something like this, that kind of chop below that area, or if we just start rolling over from here, okay, this would be, again, an opportunity for you to potentially go short, or possibly just don't short and wait for the pullback to the next key support level, which is probably going to be 11,700, 11,800, that general vicinity. Again, that's if we break 11,190, this is probably the area that I'm targeting. And you could do two things with this. Number one, you could cover some of your short positions if you are already short. If you are not short and you think that the market has to roll over from here, this is the only presentable shorting opportunity that I see, okay? Which would be a confirmed, idea of a breakdown, which is a break below 11.1, and then at least take that trade towards 10.8, 10.9. The other way you can look at this is, okay, well, we made it to 11.7, like Amol said. Now we sold off quite aggressively. If we do something like this and then we start rolling over again with a lower high, and that lower high is also visible, let's just say in the RSI, in the OBV right here, well, then there you have it, right? It's possible that you could take maybe a bit of an aggressive short with a stop above this previous high. And your first target again has to be this marker right here that got defended, which is around 11,190. Because here's the thing, if you're shorting, you have to assume that in a market like this, okay, even if I'm short with my hedge, I am not at all thinking right now that from here we have to dump, okay? The time to dump was when we were over here and we should have rolled over, or when we were over here and we should have rolled over, or when we were over here and we should have rolled over. But all three of those attempts didn't give us squat. So at the very least, right, this area right here, I'm thinking after this breakout of this triangle that was developing, right? This was a nice little triangle that was developing like this. This at all does not make me feel any bit more bearish, and definitely doesn't make me think that from here we have to dump straight down. Because like I said earlier, I now have to look at this from a level to level standpoint, which is if we roll over, can we break 11.1? And if so, can we break 10.8, 10.9 support? And if so, can we break $10,584 support, which is again also a key SR level, as you can see, that goes across the board all the way back here, you know, pretty much resistance back there, support back here, right? So all across the board, it's a very key marker that we're paying attention to. And in which case, if we get to 11.1, 10.8, or 10.5, these are opportunities to play level to level shorts or start buying and loading up longs if you believe from here, wherever we retrace, if we start retracing, you know, from here and then we push up, or from here we push up, or from here we push up. In any case, these are the opportunities that you should be looking at. Okay, let me go long on these pullbacks. And by the way, when it comes to markets being aggressively bullish, the pullbacks are shallow. You do not get heavy pullbacks. Let me give you a perfect example. When we started to do this kind of chop right here, and then we started grinding, and then we pushed past the first key lower high right there. Guess what we did? We pushed up for 4 days. We only had one red candle, and then we pushed up 1, 2, 3 massive days, as you can see right there. Again, we only had one red candle, and then again 1, 2, 3, 4, another 4 days. Oops. So, like I said, when things are supposed to be really bullish, markets do not give you an opportunity to jump in, okay? They just start pushing up right away, because the idea is that you want to trap as many people in their short positions as possible and use them as fuel. And the way you do that is you don't allow that much breathing room, meaning you push up like we did the last couple of days. So we have 6 days of pushing up, one red candle. If we start pushing up again today, tomorrow, you might want to start being careful, because the chances are we might just put in this kind of movement, okay? Again, I know I've talked about this 11.7 marker and we haven't quite broken it, but knowing Bitcoin, well, you have to prepare for something like that, because Bitcoin takes no prisoners. Once it gets going, it is gone. It's taking off and it's squeezing everybody out, okay? So I think where I am right now is that my short hedge, I'm looking for opportunities to get out. I'm not looking for opportunities to add to my short position heavily or think that from here we're gonna dump. That time will probably come if, like I said, we break to 11.1, that breaks. We break to 10.8, 10.9, and that breaks. We break to 10.5, and that also breaks. See, this is the area generally that I would want to start adding to my short or going short heavy, because if we start breaking below 10.584, this is probably it. You know, this was probably a large deviation. We're going to start rolling over, at least heading towards 10.8, I'm sorry, 9.8, 9.9, so like 10,000 area, and then quite possibly dumping towards 9,200. But again, not really something I'm concerned about right now. What I'm concerned about is this the beginning stages of a squeeze that's developing, and are we about to just get bum rushed all the way up? Okay. When it comes to alt positions, right? I've told y'all theta being one of my favorite positions. This thing looks ready to pop. We have a perfect triangle developing. Let me actually get this pivot off. So we have A, B, C, D, E, nice contracting triangle right there. Even from the pivot standpoint, we are above the current weekly pivot. I think all things look good. I think we got some positions right around this area right here. And so far, so good, right? So we'll see how theta goes. Let's check out link. Again, I have a link position as well. Link I got in around 1095, 1096, somewhere around there. That one's doing pretty well. And so one of my targets that I'm aiming for is around $12, maybe $12.25 or something. Let me get rid of this and put it up on the daily. So as you can see, that comes up right the heck up here, right around the cross of these two trend lines. And then quite possible that maybe we even stretch out way up here around this red block, which is around $13 all the way to $13.40. So just some targets to keep in mind, Other than that, I think altcoins right now are well set up for another big push up. ETH itself looks pretty solid. Like I said, we have this nice ascending triangle that we're developing. The pivot marker is right there, literally hammering that pivot right now, 386. I think the one thing that could be like a caveat to this whole thing is all things, Bitcoin, ETH, altcoins, they're all coming up into key resistance. And I think that's the one thing that kind of worries me a little bit. It doesn't worry me to a large degree. It just makes me think, okay, just something interesting to watch, So you guys know, of course, in the advantage side, I constantly put out a ton of analysis. Like yesterday, I think I was on a roll putting out some of these, long trades and long positions. And then, of course, in the altcoin analysis side, I did a bunch of analysis on LTC, Link, EOS, Bcash, all kinds of stuff. Did something on Algo as well, as per the request of one of our members. And so all these things, in my opinion, altcoins look pretty solid. But again, they look solid to a degree where they're all coming into resistance, right? And you don't really want to buy heavy into resistance. You want to see the reaction over here. Maybe even if you get a pullback and that doesn't start rolling over further, like I said, same thing with Bitcoin, right? If you get a pullback, well, that doesn't mean that you should just start opening up shorts. It means wait and see and look at the kind of reaction, because who knows, that pullback could be an opportunity for you to get long with the rest of the crowd and then just start riding this thing up. And so same goes for ETH, which is if you get a pullback on ETH, let's just say 375, 370, somewhere around those areas, well, then you can go long and start riding this thing back up. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There's a lot of stuff on my Twitter feed, guys. Make sure y'all go check this out. Tons of strong option activity seen in the month of October. And I think highest traded session or highest volume session since July. So I think that was pretty solid. Definitely something to keep an eye on, of course. And then CME futures open interest is rebounding as well. So that's great. You can see the spot volume, which I thought was pretty unique, hit about $400 million. I personally think that whenever spot starts showing you strength, that means that there's something big happening in terms of the bull side. Because the thing is, like when you're seeing, price increasing and volume of spot Bitcoin increasing, that's generally bullish, okay? But again, it doesn't mean that it's the only bullish signal you need to pay attention to, because of course, price is the only thing, in my opinion, that matters, and price will dictate how things are looking, on a day-to-day basis. Futures volume as well, $14 billion. I mean, there's some amazing numbers that are being put up. Like I said, options volume, 350 million. some of the highest traded volume since July. And then let me see here. And yeah, and even the stock market side, right, guys? You saw the kind of activity yesterday. Here's the thing, okay? The S&P 500, massive numbers. I mean, massive gap up candle, solid, green candle for the day. I think pretty much all stocks across the board, even the, big tech stocks over here like Amazon put in massive numbers. I mean, this is like a $1 trillion company, right? $1 trillion company putting in a move like this, that's like adding the entire market cap of, Ethereum or Bitcoin in literally one day into Amazon. So it's just insane stuff happening. And of course, as this happened, we saw, Bitcoin, of course, put in a similar style of candle, right? So it just goes to show that the S&P 500 and Bitcoin correlation is still active, still very strong, and we need to be paying attention to that. All right. Make sure you'll read Faisal's update. Listen, you pay for this analysis, right? The least you could do is read the stuff that Faisal puts out, because he puts a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and a lot of insight into this. So always read these, even if you don't exactly trade the stock market. This stuff is always relevant to what we trade in crypto, always. Okay, we are in a market, in an environment where all things are generally correlated: gold, Bitcoin, oil, US equities, all this stuff. So it'd be very good for you to absorb this information, learn. If you have any questions, shoot them my way, tag me in the stock market chat. Again, thank you guys for being awesome members, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Hope you found this analysis helpful.